Progressive bloggers took on Austin, Texas this week at the annual Netroots Nation conference. Young activists assumed that there'd be more young people at the conference, but the youth movement and young voters was a major topic of conversation.
The thing is, we have a fairly good infrastructure in college. If you're not in college, you're in life. Where are you going to find that? You have to go and actively seek it in order to get it. It's not shoved in your face. And so even if you do believe in all those things, you're not going to be able to easily get involved, and that's the problem.
While young voters are a major component to organizations like Rock the Vote, they were definitely important to all of the candidates and politicians who dropped by Netroots Nation to talk to bloggers.
This election is going to be decided by young voters, each and every one of them.
Young voters this election are going to play a role that they have never played before, and that is a very pivotal role in this election.
I would not be in elected office if it had not been for young voters. We're crazy enough to elect a 34-year-old mayor of the city that had never elected anyone, I think, younger than 64.
God bless the impatience of youth. That is what gives me hope.
Young voters understand now with the economy, healthcare, the environment, that they're going to inherit this. Now is the time to get involved and change it.
Bloggers woke up early Saturday morning for a keynote address and Q&A session with House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. The speaker's shining moment was her answer on global warming, where she brought in assistance from friend and ally, former Vice President Al Gore.
This email from a friend, and it says that in relationship to the question on energy, that
Dear Nancy, Thursday.
Netroots Nation bloggers were told that there would be a special star guest, but few assumed that it would ever be Vice President Al Gore. Gore shared with the audience new facts that he's learned about global warming, as well as new trends and new ideas that he has for helping combat global climate change. After the address, the speaker spent a few minutes talking with us about her office's outreach to young people and her expectations for their role this November.
I have great confidence in young people and the impatience of youth, and that's why I'm hopeful, because if young people are involved in the political process, it will be much more wholesome. If young people are involved, our focus will be on the future. My flagship issue as speaker has been the issue of energy security and the global warming issue. And I have said to them, if you take up this issue in your districts, you will be attracting so many young people to the cause that will help us advance a better agenda for the future. The issues that relate to education and the cost and affordability of college and beyond, issues that relate to jobs once they get out of college. Again, I repeat, the environment and the global warming issue, and of course the war. The war is an issue that young people understand fully is a waste of time. All over the world, young people are tired of war. They want to know if their elected officials and leaders are using war as an excuse not to address issues that relate to education and job development, global warming, stopping the proliferation of weapons of mass destruction, you name it.
Tell me more about the outreach that your office does with technology.
And I think we are only curtailed by technology, and as the technology changes, of course, we will too. But I say you have to communicate with people in the manner in which they communicate. If it's traditional, have that as a piece of what you do. But young people and many more people beyond young people, but with young people leading the way, are cutting edge electronically on how we communicate with each other. You are dealing yourself out of the communications loop by not joining in.
How do you think young voters will impact this election?
My hope is pinned on the participation of young people, because this is as much a generational election as any I have seen. It's going to be very exciting.
Texas activist Jimmy Tallarico received the high honor of standing next to Governor Howard Dean and talking about his important role with young voters this election.
The qualities of our generation, a generation that is more tolerant, more interconnected, and more inspired than ever before.
After the speech, we toured the governor's sweet ride, the Register for Change Rolling Crib, which is headed to New Orleans tomorrow. We sat down with the governor and talked to him about young voters as well.
They get that this is their chance. This is a generational election, very much like the kind we had in 1960 when Jack Kennedy ran against Nixon.
What issues do you think matter the most to them?
I think, honestly, the same things that matter to everybody else. I think they got to drive on $4 an hour, $4 a gallon gas. They started to worry about how they're going to get jobs when they get out of school. They're worried about Iraq, and they're worried about health care. But then there are the other things that are really crucial for the younger generation because they have a much longer time horizon. And those two things are climate change and the budget deficits. I'm hoping to take this bus to a lot of college campuses in the fall in crucial states for us. And obviously, Rock the Vote is very important to us. I think what you're going to see is a real effort on our parts to get people to vote. Not so much without it necessarily asking what their party is, but just get them to vote, especially young folks. And I think they want to. I think this is the time when they realize that change is in there. If you don't do those things, that you can't expect democracy to work, because democracy is you, not just somebody else.
And what do you say to young people who decide they want to save the world and they want to do something?
This generation does want to save the world. It's extraordinary. I said, go save the world. There's opportunities everywhere. This is a generation that sees themselves as citizens of the world, much more so even than my generation. And they go all over the world doing these things. And they should take advantage of, this generation should take advantage of those kinds of opportunities.
This is Sarah Burris reporting for Rock the Trail at Netroots Nation in Austin, Texas.